Welcome to
Welcome
One
to
Minute
One Minute
Left,
Left,
powered by
powered by
HDR,
HDR.
and I'm Remy Fry.
And I'm your co host, Brianna, aka BB Holloway.
And today we're talking from the heart about being a advocate for men and women on death row and what it means to us. Well, I've been an advocate now for 15 years. Well, no, 17, I'm sorry. And, God called me to be an advocate 17 years ago, and I was a little bit disobedient. I decided I
Mm.
wanted to do general population. Whew, and that backfired. You know, the men on general population, hey baby, call me.
Oh.
I get out in 2 years and, you know, it was just too much. And so I kind of went to God. I was like, you know what, this is not working. And he was like, well, I didn't tell you to be an advocate for a general population. I told you death row. I think I was rejecting it because I knew my heart. I knew that being an advocate for men and women on death row, to lose someone, to start caring for someone and, become close to them, build with them, and then to turn around lose them, I knew that I couldn't do that mentally. But, God knew I could do it. So, God said that's why I called you to do it. And so I finally decided to do it. I reached out and I started to, write several men. And several women. I kind of just let God lead me. And I just started writing them, you know, words of encouragement, let them know I'm here. I'm not here to judge them. I'm just here to be someone that they can, talk to, um, and just open up to. And um, I believe that's the best day of my life because they have been a blessing to me, and I enjoy being an advocate for them. Um, Being an advocate, it comes with a lot. It's day in and day out working. You get exhausted, but you got to keep pushing because you have people lives in your hands, and that's why I came up with the "It's never too late to save a life" because we got to save their lives and do our best to save their lives. And so being an advocate, it comes with a lot, but God told me to do it, and like I said, I enjoy doing it, and it's my calling, it's my purpose, and that's where HDR came. HDR came a year ago, and that's just from the push of the men on Texas Death Row. They was like, we believe in you can, Remy. We believe that you can, run this organization. Well, first it came from one of the guys. They wrote me and they asked me what was the name of my organization, and I was like, organization. I was like, I don't have a name. I'm just a prayer advocate. And Chris was like, Christopher Love, he was like, well, Remy, you need to start your organization. He was like, because I believe you can do it. And I was like, Christopher, I don't know. And he was like, you can. And I was like, well, what do I call it? And he was like, humanizing death row. And I was like, why that? He said, because you're trying to show people that we're human. You're trying to humanize us. We have been dehumanized in this prison system, and you're humanizing us. And so that's why he chose humanizing death row. And I love the name, and we went from there, and we started it, and I gave birth to it. We built it, and here we are now, a year later, and it's grown, and I love it. I wouldn't change it for nothing in the world. I have a drive. I have a drive, and like I said, this is my passion, my purpose. I get up every morning and I dive into it, and I enjoy it, and I would never give it up. Never. What about you, Brianna? What made
So
you
I
decide?
am a. So I am. Okay, I guess I should start from like an introduction.
From the
Okay,
top.
from the top. I'm 20 steps ahead. But anyway, like we said in the beginning, my name is Brianna, aka BB Holloway. Um, and I am a personal advocate, and I'm the social media and communications manager for HDR. So I do a lot of reaching out, things of that nature, um, posts, videos. So lots of stuff that I do around HDR. When I first was introduced to the organization. It started off as a conversation, and I was just very, very intrigued by what Remy was doing with the organization. And she was like, yeah, I built this website and blah, blah, blah. And other parts of the conversation I can't remember because my memory is awful. But she was like, yeah, I need help with this website. And I'm like, oh, that's easy. I could do that. So she gave me her login information several times. Because
But first,
I
I
kept
told you
losing
what I
it.
was doing. You asked me
And I was
what I
very,
was doing.
yes. And
Yes.
so along with the website, she also explained to me, like, the goal and mission of HDR and stuff like that. And basically, she was explaining that, she was explaining that, you know, a part of HDR is also a part of her faith. And it was just intriguing to me. I don't know. It was just intriguing. I work already in healthcare, so I'm already an advocate for everyone anyway. So, in healthcare, you have to advocate for every person because everybody is a patient, and even if somebody, even if you know you have to be an advocate for everybody. Like that's just how it is. I'm losing my train of thought, Remy.
It's okay. But remember that day that we did meet? I was going to see the guys on
Oh
in
yeah,
Texas. Yes,
yeah,
I was
I
going to see
remember.
a few of the guys on death row in Texas. And you asked me, where was I going, and I told you I was going to Pulaski Union. I was going to visit some of the guys and were on death row, and he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I'm an advocate for men and women on death row," and we started talking about it, and you was like, "I want to do it. I'm interested in it." And I was like, "Are you serious?" And you was like, "Yeah." And I said, "Okay." And then we started talking about I showed you my website. And I was like, I feel like it needs to be, built more, needs more. And you was like, well, it looks good, but I can help you with more things. And so we started, the whole time I was on vacation there in Texas, you helped me, work on the website and build it. Um, and now it's getting there. We still need a little work on it, but I appreciate it because you really did some great work on the website. And but then you said you wanted to be an advocate, and that's how you just kind of dived on in there. I mean, you really just dived on in there. I was surprised, by your age. But I knew I wanted some younger advocates. I wanted the young generation. And so when you said, "Hey, this is what I want to do," I was like, "Okay, okay, good." And along the way, you've really shown that this is what you really want to do. I mean, just jumping in, making the calls, getting in there, running the website, running the social, helping me run the social media, just taking the load off of me, writing the guys, helping me write the guys, and that's been truly a blessing. But it just showed me your drive. It showed me that you really, really want to be an advocate, because being an advocate for men and women on death row is not an easy job. It's not a play job.
It's
It's
not.
it's serious. It is serious because they really need us. They really need our support. They need more of us. It's just not all about writing. It's about getting out there, advocating for them, protesting, doing things that don't feel good sometimes, like doing a video, or calling, governors, writing, doing petitions, going to protests, just doing things that don't feel good sometimes, like the news. I'm a shy person. And I said, being an advocate, I would never get on the news. I've been on the news at protests, but I've really just never been on the news as far as talking. And when I had to get on the news for Tremaine Wood, I put all that to the side because I said his life matters. So I don't matter right now. I can't say, "Oh, I don't want to do this. I don't feel comfortable because this man needs me." I think about it could have been my son, it could have been my brother, it could have been anyone. So I had to put all that to the side and be an advocate for him. And I think some people don't realize it's being advocates. Just like I said, not writing, just writing somebody, just sitting there behind a computer. You know, it's we have to do more than that.
There's a
So,
lot that goes into, being a part of HDR, and I mean,
hmm
it's just it's not a lot like in a bad kind of way. I think it's a lot in the fact that like I'm literally having interviews talking to people from overseas. Like
hmm
I am like I'm just here. Like I feel like
hmm
I'm just going, and I'm just but it is a lot of work. There's a lot of stuff that we do outside of our podcast and outside of talking and writing the guys.
hmm
Like Remy was saying, I manage the social medias. I'm reaching out to people that I never thought that I would have any courage to reach out to.
yeah.
Like I'm literally just writing anybody. I wrote the news. I'm like, oh my god, like I'm
I
arguing with
mean,
people in
we're arguing with people in the chat.
we argue with people in the comments. Like,
Yeah, you know, my favorite thing, what they always say, if you do the crime, you got to do the time. Yeah, we're not saying that they shouldn't take accountability, but we're saying they shouldn't take accountability with their life. Why should we give them a death sentence? That's what we're saying. So when we're in the chats, we're just trying to tell people be respectful in the chats. If you feel like you believe in the death penalty, that's fine. But go make your own little group page or whatever. But this page over here, HDR, we're all about humanity, compassion. We're all about, here to support the men and women on death row, but most of all, we're supporting their families because their families are going through a lot. Their loved one is on death row. They're here to read their word. They're here to check on their family, just to read, what's on their mind. And then if you got some crazy people in the chat, oh, if they do the crime, they got to do the time, or hang them and burn or execute them. It's not right. You know, my pastor always said, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. Keep it to yourself. You have a right to have your opinion, but just take your opinion somewhere else because I want my platform to be a respectful platform. Because I got sons on there of dads, that have dads on, they have their dads on death row, daughters, mothers, sisters and brothers. So they have a right to be in a peaceful spot, where they can read their family members, where they can read the upcoming things events and stuff like that. So that's what I always want HDR to be all about. So,
yeah,
you know,
being an advocate for HDR, we're not only advocating for the men and women on death row, we also advocate for their family members as well. And so, as a part or being an HDR advocate, a lot of the times you're going to have to be that bridge between the person incarcerated and the family members. A lot of the times we're talking to the family members and we're telling family members, hey, they're okay, they just haven't been able to reach out or whatever, but we're everything's fine. A lot of the times, hey, can you put this money on da-da-da's books or whatever. So as an advocate for HDR, we're also a bridge, we're also a link, and it's important, for advocates to be comfortable with, interpersonal relationships and be comfortable with holding emotional space for the families, yourself, as well as the person incarcerated.
yeah, because the family's already dealing with a lot. I mean, because
They are.
you're in court, you got to go through the whole trial with your family member, and then to hear them say, I hereby sentence you to death, that's devastated for a mother or a father or a child or a brother and sister. And I know everyone says, what about the victim's family? We pray for their families every day. And we don't want them to be overlooked. We don't want the families of the victims to be overlooked because, to lose a loved one, a child, in such a horrendous way, I know it's painful. I've lost plenty of family members that way. But at the end of the day, killing someone, the death penalty doesn't take that pain away. Trust me, it doesn't. I watched a loved one in front of me, a child, get killed. But to say that we wanted the person that did it to get the death penalty, that'll never bring her back. That pain is still there. So at the end of the day, for them to be incarcerated for the rest of their life, that's what made me feel better, knowing that they would never be out to hurt someone again. But not to say that, being incarcerated, they haven't rehabilitated themselves. They may need a second chance. They may do. But to know that, they were locked away and not out to hurt someone, that made me feel better. But to say that to put someone in the electric chair or to put somebody on the table and put a needle on them, does that make me feel better? No, because at the end of the day, I don't want some other aunt to feel the pain that I felt as an aunt to lose my niece. Because that aunt watching her nephew on the table, you know, as they put a needle in there, imagine how she feels. I don't want her to feel my pain because if I want her to feel that pain, how am I? What kind of person am I? I'm no better than the man on the table. So I just feel like the death penalty is not solving nothing. It's not solving crime. Crime is still on the rise. It's not doing anything. So I feel as an advocate, I am trying to abolish the death penalty. But until we do that, I'm here to help the families, both sides, victim families, the men and women on death row, their families, and that at the same time support the men and women on death row because there's some intelligent people. They rehabilitate themselves. They have such, great minds. The letters, reading the letters, we were laughing at something that one of the guys wrote us tonight. We were laughing because they have such great, sense of humor. They can smile and make you laugh, and they are in the most darkest place right now. The darkest place, but they can make you laugh and uplift you and forget about where they are. And you try to say that's a monster. That's not a monster. That's a human being who has changed. And then you got to think about how many men and women on death row that are innocent, that are fighting to live, to save their lives.
That is true.
So that's why I advocate, because for men and women on death row, because
a lot of
if
innocent
they
people
are
get executed.
guilty, they've changed. And if they haven't changed, leave them there. Leave them there and don't worry about it. But, to say I'm going to put them on the table and put a needle in them and watch them gasp for air and watch that needle just shut down every organ in their body, or to put them on a table and put that gas on their mouth and watch them take 30 minutes to die as they gasp for air, or to put them in an electric chair and put all those volts in them and watch them jilt until they die, or to put the hood on here. It just makes no sense. It's not solving no problems. So I, as an advocate, am trying to stop that because it's senseless. It's murder. They say they kill. They say they murder. I'm sorry, and they say we're turning around and kill. The Bible says, "Thou shalt not kill." Plain and simple. So that's why I'm advocating for them to just stop this, because they're human beings. They're humans. Yes, their victims were human. Yes, they shouldn't have did what they did. But you have to realize a lot of them were going through trauma. They were on drugs, and it was just a lot going on in their lives. And we all fall short. We make mistakes, and hey, we all need to be accountable for our mistakes. But accountability should not be with the death sentence. It should not. And that's just how I feel.
It's hard to, that argument is hard to make sense of, because it's like you guys are saying, well, just kill them. And it's like, okay, what does that solve? That
Nothing.
doesn't solve anything because I'm sorry, the I hate to say inmate, but the inmate's family member, now they've just watched their loved one be killed.
Mm-hmm.
And we're, regenerating the same cyclic trauma throughout several families. It doesn't help anything. People do horrible things.
Mm-hmm.
People do horrible, horrible things. But
As
that
an
is the point.
advocate.
That
Yeah.
is the point of prison. That is the point. We say that
Mm-hmm.
prisons are supposed to rehabilitate people,
Yep.
and they're not. They're not rehabilitative at all.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and prison reform is a whole different advocacy branch, but um, even then, prison, that's the whole point of prison, is to hold people that we feel are not safe to be in society, are not safe to be around other people. Um,
Exactly.
and honestly, a lot of the men on death row that I talk to,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Polunsky, it's hard for me to believe that they are
Monsters.
these dangerous, like, it's hard for me to believe that. It just is,
Yeah.
I just, it just is. And
Yeah.
even when we were advocating for Tremaine,
Man,
even that
we
is
was up
insane.
there fighting for Jermaine. We were
Bruh.
fighting because we weren't going to see that
Up until the last
happen to an
minute.
innocent man, who
Literally
never
up
even
until the
took them
last
back.
minute.
Yeah.
Up until the last minute, for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that Tremaine, I think, was a good trajectory point for HDR, because I just think that, it really showed, the potential of HDR and the potential of what advocates can do if we come together. Because we
hmm
didn't do Tremaine Wood by ourselves. We did Tremaine Wood with the help of the news, with the help of the Tremaine Wood Foundation and his family members and things of that nature, his lawyers, attorneys, all that. So,
yeah.
it's important that we stick together, because power in numbers does something. Power in prayer does something.
hmm
Um, so being an advocate is definitely it definitely involves a lot of teamwork.
Yeah.
It does.
It's not easy. It's not an easy job, but I'm here to tell you it's necessary. It's necessary. I've cried a lot of nights. I've prayed. I've walked into clemency hearings not knowing what was the outcome would be. I've you know I've kept walking. I will keep walking into walking in into the death penalty is no longer here into it's a path into it's the past because I don't want to lose another person. As an advocate, I don't want to lose another friend. Like I said, I built with these men and women. I built a friendship, a familyhood, a brother and a sisterhood. I am my brother's keeper. I have built so much with these men and women. And to watch another life taken in this way, I feel like I let them down. When at the last minute, when we were just like waiting for the governor of Oklahoma to grant Tremaine Wood clemency, I felt like I was letting them down. I was at work, I was crying, and I was like maybe I should have did this, maybe I should have did it this way, maybe I should have did it this way. As an advocate, it just drained me. I was mentally, emotionally exhausted. Thursday, November 13th. I was exhausted. By the time Friday came, I didn't even want to get up and go to work because I felt like, man, I was exhausted. But we had a victory. He was, now granted clemency, but I was still exhausted because I felt like, man, whew, that last minute was like, man, that was crucial. But at the end of the day, I fought. We all fought. It happened, and it was a great fight. And it's a fight that I'm gonna continue to do. I'll do it for the next and next and next. But it made me stronger. It made me realize what I have to do. it may going forward, because I don't want to lose another Marcellus Williams, another Manuel Littlejohn, especially Manny Littlejohn, who was not the killer in his case. The killer in his case is sitting, spending the rest of his life in prison, and Manuel Littlejohn has been executed. So I don't want to lose another one, because we almost lost Tremaine for something that he didn't do. So it's just that was just a push. It just showed me that, hey, Remy, you can do it. Keep on going. And that's why, for HDR, I want more strong advocates to be on our side, to work with us, and to,
We need
you
help.
know, to, fight with us, continue this fight with us, because we need that. We need the strong advocates to roll them sleeves up and put your I can't do this, I don't feel comfortable to the side, because we are trying to save lives. And that's what HDR is all about. We're here to save lives. We're here to advocate for men and women on death row. And it's time to roll up our sleeves, because 2026 is around the corner, and that's new death days coming. And so now,
365 days.
yes. And they're about to start new, we got Charles Thompson coming up. We got, Kendrick Simpson coming up. We got Cedric Ricks. And so it's more and more and more going to come. And so as advocates, we can't make excuses. We can't say I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't. We got to put our big girl panties on, our big drop men drawers or whatever, and we got to roll up them sleeves, and we got to do it. Don't think about yourself. Think about being a blessing. Think about saving someone's life, because they need us. We're on the outside, and they're on the inside, and some of them are scared. Somebody told me today, when he wrote me, I'm not going to say his name, he asked me, what do I fear? What's the one thing I fear? Because he said, I never really feared anything until I got in prison. And when they handed me the death penalty, now I'm afraid to die. That hit me hard. So it's no more excuses. If you believe, if you're against the death penalty, then it's time for you to step up. Don't be scared no more. Fight. And if you want to be a part of HDR as the advocate, come on. We need you. But I don't need these advocates who feel like I can't, I can't, I can't, because it ain't no I can't. I can do all things through Christ Jesus who strengthens me. You put that fear to the side, because you fear no man but the man above. That's the only person you're supposed to fear, the only thing you're supposed to fear. But as advocates against the death penalty, it's time. It's time for us to rise up together. I don't care what state you're in. I don't care what organization you're a part of. We all need to come together and rise to help these men and women on death row, because 2026 is on its way. And we got to stop the death penalty. And if we all come together as advocates all over the world, man,
Around the corner.
man,
2026 is literally in a couple weeks, and it's just like,
yeah,
unfortunately, when you're, and I mean, if we're talking about scripture, it says in scripture that people are going to hate you for doing the right thing. People
mm-hmm,
are going to laugh at you for doing the right thing. People are going to scoff at you
absolutely,
for doing the right thing. And
mm-hmm,
again, advocating for these people is similar to, or representative of representative of walking with, with Christ. We
mm-hmm,
have to walk with these men and women on death row. You know what I'm saying? Because Jesus Christ would do the same thing.
he will,
And that's what we fail to understand, is that,
mm-hmm,
Jesus Christ was not for the elite. He was not for
mm-hmm,
the rich. He was not for the powerful. He was for
mm-hmm,
the meek, the people that society has abandoned, the people that,
mm-hmm,
are thieves, beggars, whatever you want to call it. But when we walk with these men and women, we're fulfilling we're fulfilling the word, and we're
Mm-hmm.
fulfilling what Christ would want, and that's
Yeah.
evident in His word. That's evident in the Bible. That's just evident.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Because
really do
we're all his
believe
children. We're
we're
all
all
his
His children.
children, no matter
I
what.
believe that this is a very special calling to have as an advocate.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not a spiritual, morally straight person, it's hard to be an advocate. You know what I'm saying? Because unfortunately, like I've said before, um, people on death row, or not people on death row, but people that are incarcerated, sometimes do awful things. They do.
They do. They
And
do.
you have to sit with the fact that, yeah, this person did an awful thing, but I still don't want that person to die. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that a lot of people are just so spiritually out of tune. A lot of people are so far removed from the Lord that they can't see that by saying something like, fry them,
Mm-hmm.
kill them, hang them, shoot them, whatever. When you say something like that, it just makes you look like an animal.
Yeah. It makes you, better than the person who
You're no
killed
better than the
somebody.
person incarcerated.
No,
You know what I'm
no,
saying?
no, no. I mean, as children of God, we have to love each other whether you want to or not. You have to forgive each other, because if God forgives us each and every day, you can't run around and say, I can't forgive that person, but you want God to forgive you. So we have to forgive our brothers and sisters, and we have to support them, love them, and be there for them. Because at the end of the day, Jesus is always going to be there for us, no matter what we do. When the judgment day come, He's going to judge us, and but we can't sit here on earth and judge somebody by sentencing them to death, by executing them. We can't do that. That's not our job. That's just not our job. So, while they're on here on earth, yeah, put them in jail, let them spend time in prison, let them, rehabilitate themselves or whatever. But we've just got to stop playing God. We've got to stop doing it, because it's just not right. It's not right. And like I said, when God called me 17 years ago to be an advocate for men and women on death row, I did it. And I put the fear aside. I put the what people's going to think to the side. I didn't worry about what people would think about me. I the only person I worry about, only person that I worry about what they think about me, I'm sorry, is the man above. That's the only person. I don't care what anybody says, what everybody thinks. I only worry about what God thinks. And God assigned me to do this. He assigned me to be an advocate, and this is what I'm going to do. And I have to be that loving person, that forgiving person, that woman of God, and be there for them. And like I said, if you can't do that, if you can't forgive, then I don't know. I don't know. That's something you're going to have to deal with. If you can't forgive, and all you can run around and say they deserve to be executed, they deserve to die, then I don't know. That's just something that you are going to have to deal with when you meet the maker. And I can't judge you for that, but when the time comes, when the trumpet blows and it's time to go home, hey. And
Some people gonna be on the bus. Some
some
people
people,
ain't.
but this world is close to being to an end, because look at all the things that's going on. Men, we out here trying to play God, and we can't forgive, and everybody's against each other, and nobody can come together and work with each other, and it's just sad. But at the end of the day, HDR, we're gonna keep fighting. We're gonna keep having this compassion. We're gonna keep having this humanity. We're gonna keep, trying to make the best, you know, for the men and women on death row. We're gonna try to, make it comfortable for them. We're gonna try to be there for them, and try to, be there for their families as best that we can. And if you don't want to, be on this bus with us, if you don't want to be on this ride with us or whatever, then this is not for you. It's just not it. Because, like I said earlier, this is not for play. This we got lives in our hands, and I don't know what else, And I think being an advocate, it's important. It's important to me, and I don't know about anybody else, but it's very important to me, and it's something that I enjoy. And all the advocates that are part of HDR, I appreciate you guys. And but as far as just writing, there are personal advocates, yeah, but we need the field advocates. We need the advocates that's going to get out there and just do, because that's what we're all about. Like I said, it's time for us to roll our sleeves up because I've been trying not to stress a lot, but there's a lot of dates coming, and like I said, we got a big fight. We got a big fight on our hands, and it's like the way it's looking with Florida. Um, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable, and so we're not on advocates just for one state. We're advocates for the United States of America. Every prison that has death row, every state that has death row, we're advocates for them. And so we're looking at Florida like, man, Florida's going to be a fight to end it. Because it's been too many lives that's been lost in Florida, and it's sad. It's sad. Florida needs a whole lot of praying right now. The governor needs prayer. I pray every day for him that he would, that God would soften his heart, that God will open up his heart and realize that this is not the right way right now. This is not the right way. Um, so I think as advocates, we got to come together and we got to help Florida and support them in any way that we can as advocates. All states, because it's a lot going on in Florida. Sad to say, but it's a lot. They're doing more than what you know Texas. Texas used to be the number one state when it come down to execution, but now it's Florida, and it's sad.
Seems like they're
So
executing somebody every week, man. I don't know.
yeah, so like
This
I
job
said,
is underpaid,
yeah,
overworked, and um, is underpaid and overworked. But
you know,
it is tireless and is sometimes you get tired, but at the end of the day, I think the most rewarding thing is knowing that you're advocating for somebody that society is pretty much abandoned and nobody looks after.
forgotten. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
I
and
think
even though it's
that's the most important
tiresome.
part.
Yeah, every time we save a life, help save a life is what's important. We got to keep standing for them, and because we are their voices. And I'm tired of people saying that they're beyond redemption. They're not. They're not beyond redemption. They're not monsters. They're human, and that's why we stand up for them. We're their voices. We're their advocates. We're their family, their friends. So we got to keep pushing for them. And without you guys, we need you guys. We need you guys on our side. We need you guys to fight with us. Our followers, fight, fight with us. Join our team. If you don't want to join our team, keep sharing. Keep following us. Keep calling the governor. Keep, you know, being there. Keep being there for HDR. Keep, you know, telling everybody about HDR. Tell everybody about all the platforms of advocates who are fighting against the death penalties, all the organizations, because we all have to build and help each other. But we got to get the word out to abolish the death penalty. And if we can't work together, like I said, to do it, then I don't know.
Got to
But,
be able to do something.
yeah. But like I said, thank you to everybody who is advocating for men and women on death row. To all the organizations, thank you. Thank you to Tremaine Wood Foundation. Thank you for all your supports, for sharing, and you know the fight we all did together to help Tremaine to be where he at. But the fight is, continuing because, next thing we got to do is get him exonerated and get him home. And, we ask you guys to continue to fight with HDR because we need you guys, like I said. And so let's roll our sleeves up and let's get ready for 2026. We got some executions coming up, unfortunately, in December. I think we got two, but, it's time to abolish that, so I pray, that God can move and give us some favors because, but at the same time, we can pray all we want, but we got to fight. We got to come together and fight. And because this is, a hands-on situation with being an advocate, it comes with a lot of praying, comes with a lot of fighting, a lot of crying, a lot of coming together. So as advocates, this is what we got to do. And that's what HDR is all about. And so to all the men on death row, men and women on death row, we're going to continue to fight for you guys, continue to advocate for you guys. We are here for you guys. You guys are not forgotten. We are your voices. We're here for you guys. Like I said, we're here for the families,
We really are
friends.
out here fighting, y'all. We are fighting with these people in the
Yes,
comments. Like,
yes,
we are literally fighting these people.
yeah,
Like, bink,
yeah.
bink, mink, 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 mink.
She's crazy, yeah. but but at the same time, as advocates, we do need support for us, donations because me and Brianna, ooh, we spend a lot of money putting
We
on monies
do.
on tablets,
You do.
phone calls, stamps, and everything. So if you can ever donate it to HDR, we would greatly appreciate it
And we'll give you a
because
free
at the end of the
shirt.
day, I'm a pre-K teacher, so I'm putting $110 on this person, $50 on this person. So, but you know what? At the end of the day, I know God's gonna bless me. So it's not all about
That part.
money. It's not all about donations all the time. But we greatly appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep doing it regardless. If don't nobody donate, Remy gonna be all right because at the end of the day, God is my provider, and He has got me this far. These 17 years, He's got me, and He's gonna keep on getting us to where we need to get at. He's gonna keep helping us grow. He's gonna keep helping us be a blessing to men and women on death row because that's what it's all about, being a blessing to others. You give, because men will give unto you good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over, and that's what it's all about. We're giving to them. We're being a blessing to them, and if you guys can be a blessing to us and support our organization, we would greatly appreciate it. But like I said, keep supporting us with liking, sharing, our Facebook, follow us on Instagram, please, please, follow our podcast, 1 Minute Left, powered by HDR, share, view our podcast, tell everybody about it, but at the end of the day, we thank you guys and we thank you for I think we have 498 followers now on Facebook and we have 313 on Instagram. And
Yes.
and we
Yes.
got our
Yes.
YouTube now. We don't have any followers
Yes.
yet on our YouTube, so don't forget about our YouTube.
Go
We
to the
got the United Deaf
YouTube. Go
Row
to the YouTube.
YouTube. So, like I said, thank you for your support. Thank you to, like I said, all my advocates and for the new ones that are coming. But like I said, this is a fight. This is not just writing. This is fighting. This is, you know, sharing. This is stepping out of your comfort zone because, we're here to save lives. I think, like I said, I think of these men and women as my brothers, sisters, cousins, aunts, uncles. So I tell every advocate, you know, step out of your comfort zone because you got to think this could be your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. It could be you. You want somebody to fight for you. So put that I'm not comfortable to the side, I'm scared to the side, fear to the side. And come on. We need you. So HDR followers and everyone, we love you. God bless you. And like I said, thank you for joining us tonight on this podcast. I'm Remy Fry,
I'm
and this
Brianna.
all right. Thank you and good night.
Good night.